Plastic bottles are a familiar sight, but did you know they contain a world of hidden secrets? Today, let's explore this fascinating world. Look carefully, and you'll see that some plastic bottles have different shapes. Have you ever noticed this? And have you ever wondered why? If you look closely at plastic bottles, you'll see square-shaped ones with indentations, as well as plain-shaped non-indented ones. Some even have a white mouth. These square-shaped indented bottles are heat-resistant bottles. They're used for beverages like tea and vegetable juice, which are sterilized at high temperatures before being filled, then cooled. That's why they're constructed to be thicker and stronger. The squares and other indentations in the bottle are designed to absorb the decompression force that occurs when the temperature drops during cooling. These indentations are called decompression absorption panels. Heat-resistant bottles also have a white mouth. The mouth undergoes thermal treatment to become crystallized in order to make it heat-resistant. The white part is made of the same material as the bottle. Let's put this to the test. We have one plastic bottle with indentations and one without. Let's fill each bottle with hot tea. Then, put the caps on. After a while, the plain bottle without indentations has dented inwards, while the heat-resistant one with indentations keeps its shape. It hasn't caved in at all. So, what are the characteristics of this plain, round plastic bottle with no indentations? It's a pressure-resistant plastic bottle that resists the force of outward expansion and is mainly used for carbonated beverages. Let's test this one too. We'll use baking soda and citric acid. Mix equal amounts baking soda and citric acid and add water. This produces carbon dioxide. Let's put a small amount into some bottles and observe them. First, let's put some in this indented bottle and put the cap on. After a while, the bottle swells up. The bottom also swelled up, causing it to tilt at an angle. Let's try the same thing with this round bottle. There seems to be no change in the round bottle. The bottom is unchanged too. The plain, round plastic bottle is one that's resistant to the internal forces of expansion. Furthermore, its rocket-shaped bottom is designed to withstand pressure and stand up easily. Compared to the bottom of the heat-resistant bottle, you can see the difference. Heat-resistant bottles and pressure-resistant bottles. Their shapes are varied to suit the nature of the beverage to be stored inside. Recently, bottles made to be both heat and pressure-resistant have been developed. They're used for beverages such as carbonated fruit juices. You can identify them by their round shape and white mouth. But what about this plastic bottle? The mouth isn't wide, which means it's not heat resistant. It's also not round, which means it's not pressure resistant. So, what are the characteristics of this particular bottle? This is a bottle for aseptic filling, used for beverages like mineral water. They aren't sterilized at high temperatures and aren't filled with carbonated beverages. As a result, they can be made thin and light. It has grooves and indentations to maintain strength despite its thinness. It uses less material, so it's an environmentally friendly bottle. And now you know why plastic bottles have different shapes. Mystery solved. Which begs the next question. How are these bottles made? The raw material for plastic bottles is polyethylene terephthalate, a plastic made from petroleum. Its initials form the acronym PET. The PET material is melted and poured into a mold under pressure. After cooling, it is taken out to create a mold of the plastic bottle, known as preform. The next step is to make a bottle from the preform. The preform is heated to about 100 degrees Celsius. It's then inserted in a bottle mold. It's stretched horizontally and vertically, then inflated with air. After cooling, the mold is opened, the bottle is removed, and the process is complete. The bottles are made using the properties of plastic, which makes it possible to shape them freely. Mystery solved. Now the plastic bottle is ready. But isn't there something missing? That's right, there's no label. Most plastic bottles on the market have labels attached to them. Some of these labels perfectly match the shape of the bottles that they're wrapped around. How is this achieved? These tight-fitting labels are made of films which shrink when heated. A prime example is polystyrene. Let's try it out. Wrap the film around the bottle filled with water. Next, put it in hot water. The film shrinks and wraps tightly around the bottle. Plastic bottle labels are made using plastic materials that shrink when heated. Mystery solved. Once you're done with the plastic bottle, what do? You put it in recycling. Remove the cap and label and put the bottle in the recycling bin. The question is, why do you have to take off the cap and label? You're about to find out. It turns out that bottles, caps, and labels are all made of different types of plastic. Bottles are made of recyclable PET, and caps and labels contain other types of plastic. Key to recycling is sorting and collecting materials of the same kind. By keeping the same type of materials together, we can process them and use them again. However, if different types are mixed together, the quality will decline. That's why we need to separate them. Mixing creates garbage, while separating creates resources. We take off caps and labels for recycling purposes. Mystery solved. When you remove labels from plastic bottles, what do you notice about them? Yes, plastic bottles are colorless and transparent. Why is that? As mentioned earlier, a key principle of recycling is sorting and collecting materials of the same kind. The same reasoning applies to the colorlessness and transparency of plastic bottles. With printing or coloring, solutions like ink are used. When non-PET ingredients get mixed into the bottles, it results in a drop in material quality. This is why in Japan, the entire beverage industry agreed to make all plastic bottles colorless and transparent so that they would become easier to reuse. As a result, the recycling of plastic bottles has come a long way in Japan, which now has one of the highest recycling rates in the world. And now you know why plastic bottles are colorless and transparent. Mystery solved. So, what happens to collected plastic bottles? Let's take a look at how they're recycled. First, bottles separated and collected from households and stores are gathered together. They are then sent to a recycling plant. These bottles are collected from recycling bins and collection boxes by vending machines, homes, and in shops like supermarkets. The caps and labels of bottles collected from supermarkets have been properly removed. For bottles collected from households, the caps have been removed, but a few still have labels on them. Most of the bottles collected from vending machines and other recycling bins still have caps and labels attached to them. Proper removal of caps and labels at this stage reduces both the amount of time and energy required for recycling, as well as the environmental burden. It's important for each and every one of us to be more careful. Upon collection, the bottle packages are loosened, then sent to the factory line. Colored bottles, bottles made of different materials, foreign objects, and other non-plastic bottles are removed from the line. The bottles are then sorted by hand for a final check. After the final check, the bottles are crushed and the remaining labels are removed. They are then processed into finely ground flakes. From here, a variety of products from recycled plastic bottles are made. Furthermore, technology has now been developed to be able to create new plastic bottles from the recycled flakes. This recycling technology, in which preforms are made directly from the flakes, is attracting attention as a revolutionary recycling method that can reduce manufacturing and transportation costs, as well as reduce CO2 emissions by 60% compared to manufacturing from petroleum. Collected bottles are not only recycled into a variety of products, but can also be recycled directly into brand new beverage plastic bottles. As you can see, there's a lot of ingenuity involved in plastic bottles. They harness the amazing power of chemistry and the power of plastic.